welcome to the video. I'm Alyssa, I write books. Welcome to Christmas Corner yet again. It is December 4th. It is Wednesday and I'm back on the saddle. We're back to vlogging. Not every day. Don't do this to me, okay? I don't even know how to intro a vlog anymore. It's been 4 days. This week I am starting draft 4 of Project Gas Station. If you want to see more in depth what I'm working on, what my plans are for the rest of the year, you can check out my last video. Or actually, I don't think it was my last video. My video that's like what I'm doing for the rest of December, right? But the immediate thing I'm doing right now is I am restructuring the beginning based on some feedback that I got from my lovely beta readers. And I've been brainstorming how to do that. It essentially means rewriting the opening, I think probably 3 chapters. So in that I'm replacing some of the old chapters. So I kind of need to look at the book and see what chapters can I cut? What chapters am I replacing? How am I merging it together? Because the goal of restructuring the beginning is that the beginning moves faster and that the setup is better. When I try to do something like this, what ends up happening is that then the beginning becomes even longer, which the goal is to shorten. So just kind of figuring out how can I still get the same level of character development, because I think the book does a really good job of that right now. How do I keep that while tightening it, right? And changing it a little bit. So I need to first kind of figure that out and then write the opening 3 chapters. I'll probably dictate them because they're fresh new scenes. Like kind of edit through the beginning into, I think probably I'll pick a stopping point in the book where it's like, okay, once we get up to this point, then everything should stay mostly the same. Because the way that I've reorganized the beginning, it doesn't hopefully really change anything. It just changes how everything gets set up, right? And so I'm gonna try to look in the book and see like, okay, at what point, like obviously I'll read through the whole thing multiple times to make sure everything makes sense, but like where can I stop where it will make sense, like where everything after that will make sense. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on now. And then once I get through that point, that'll probably take the whole week, I'm gonna be honest, but once I get to that point, then going in and fixing up the ending. So I'll probably have to look at my notes from my beta readers because it's been a while since I looked at the ending, but we're not gonna get there. We're just working on restructuring this opening right now, and I'm a little stressed to get back into it, but this morning I was just kind of, honestly the last few days as I've been reading and like not writing, it's kind of been coming together how the opening will click, and I'm hoping it works out, please. Anyway, so that's what you can expect. I'm also going to get a haircut. It's very snowy winter wonderlandy here where I am right now, so it'll be like a cozy winter writing vlog. I'm gonna go on a quick walk. It's like 0 degrees outside, but I've been in this house for too long. I'm not gonna take you because the camera will literally freeze. I'll see you later. Hello, welcome. So here's what's going on, okay? I didn't get any footage. I'm sorry, I'm being a bad vlogger, okay? Okay, but I was live with, who was I live with? Two days ago. What, who was that? Oh, the girls. I was live with the girls, Andy, Brielle, and Natalie. During that is when I first started diving into the revision, draft 4. Draft 4. And I don't know if these greens match. Do we care? Do we care? Do we care? I'm sorry. I think I had said originally that when I'm restructuring the beginning, I would probably have to rewrite the first 3 chapters. So when I said 3, I did mean 6, but it's kind of at the similar amount in my head because it's 3 chapters in each POV, which kind of feels like 3, but it's 6. I'm actually really excited about the opening. I was really worried that when I start to pull a string, you know, because I'm writing a thriller, so like when you start to pull strings, sometimes it can all unravel, but this book isn't it's not a murder mystery or anything like that. And honestly, in draft 3, like the book up until now at the beginning, like there's been this underlying weakness of the book where like legally, everything makes sense. The central like setup of the book was just not as strong. Like I think the ending of this book actually is really strong and like the way, in my opinion, and the middle, like once we're in the thick of it and how everything kind of comes together, I really like, but the setup was really not very strong. And I was worried that if I changed too much of the setup, that it would change, like I'd have to change all these scenes that I love. Because when you start to get to a draft 3, it's like these scenes in most of this book are really solid, and like I really like how they came together, and like obviously if they need to go, they need to go. I remember I was like 90% done with, like it was like 3 days, it was like a week before I sent a query letter for the wedding season. Like I had already copy and line edited and like listened through word read aloud of this whole book. Like I was about to press send and I ended up cutting like 5,000 words this whole plot line because it just didn't need to be there. Like I'm not afraid of cutting things, and books never look the same from draft to draft. I really do like most of the end of this book, and so I was worried that if I changed the opening, it would mess everything up. Which I mean, it will to some extent, but how I kind of plotted it out, it's kind of like I'm outlining again, or I outlined the first 6 scenes, which are gonna be the mostly rewrites. It's funny, I'm actually flipping POVs. Like it used to start with Danny's POV and now it will start with Cal's. And the beginning was also bloated, but it did a lot of character work, so I figured out some ways to kind of condense things. I'm interested to see if I can pull it off because it's kind of campy, which is fine. I'm trying to get this book into a place where I could market it with a cartoon cover, or I can pitch it like I don't know how exactly you pitch that, like a comedy? Like a cozy thriller almost. We're not going on the spiral today. I just don't know what the word is. Like a rom-com thriller, that's what it is. But I need to figure out, especially when I'm now getting into like query letter time with this book, I need to look at how other books that are like this, because I own a ton of them. Like I know it's something that's being published right now. I just need to look at what they're calling it. Anyway, but the things that I'm doing to the opening are kind of like, are just kind of ridiculous. And I'm kind of excited, it's kind of funny, which is maybe like gonna be too sharp of a turn once we get into the meat of this book. But that's okay, right? I can make all those other scenes funny too. Am I funny? Okay, I don't wanna be that person that's like, tell me I'm funny. Like, and it sounds cocky to say this, like, I know I'm a funny person. What? Let's stop, okay? Stop. It's weird to say that. That's always been a strength of mine, but I don't like to like say that I write a comedy because I want it to be a thriller that's funny, like that has a voice. Anyway, I outlined those scenes. Actually, I think I'm done with them. They need a little bit of fine tuning, but that's okay. So now let's go to the calendar. I've made myself a calendar for December. I'll just explain it to you, okay? So today is the 6th. I gave myself kind of a day to write each new chapter. Some of them I think will go faster, but I'm giving myself today and tomorrow to start on chapter 1, so maybe I can get ahead a little. That's always something that's helpful for me. Make my goals lighter at the beginning so I can catch up or get ahead, you know? So chapter 1 today and tomorrow, then Sunday chapter 2, Monday chapter 3, so on and so forth until the 12th, which is where I'll be on chapter 6. I don't really wear hats very regularly, and so I'm trying out hats. Okay. But then I'll still need to like read through the rest of the book to make sure everything like is consistent and like maybe amping up some comedy. Read through to the midpoint, I think, until the 17th, and then once I get to the midpoint, I think I'm actually gonna jump to the end because there's a couple things I need to rework from my beta feedback. I'm gonna go back and edit some of the scenes in the end and then go back to the midpoint and read through to the end. So I'm hoping to do that by Christmas. But for now, what I started this clip intending to say is I'm gonna go to a coffee shop for a few hours, and I debated, like, should I dictate these new scenes because they're all pretty new, or should I just type them? I think I'm gonna try typing. But I've come to realize, like, whether I'm dictating or typing, my writing voice, it's the same. Like if I'm typing or dictating, almost. It's more so about, am I trying to get a bunch of words down to get through a first draft? If I'm having some writer's block, dictating helps me because it makes me just like get something on the page, you know? Or do I want to be slower, right? And these scenes, I think I'm gonna want to be slower. So I'm gonna go to a coffee shop for a few hours. That's that on that. Let's do it.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden.
Jump scare. You're probably like, we don't care about your hair, Alyssa. Let me catch you up. So it's Saturday. I ended up writing, I don't know, literally 300 words at the coffee shop yesterday. But it was good. It's just always a shock after dictating to see how few words I can get. That wasn't only a 15-minute sprint. I was very distracted. The coffee shop was very busy. My usual spot at the window was occupied, which is fine. I didn't realize how distracting that coffee shop was because usually I'm just like staring out the window, you know? But there was somebody on a first date, like 2 people on a first date within listening distance. So I was listening. I was intrigued, and then there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So I wasn't super productive, but I feel like what I have is good. Sorry, I don't know why I started this clip while cooking. Anyway, finished nothing. It's just a weird transition to go from dictating to typing and also writing fresh scenes, especially an opening, which openings have so much pressure and are horrible always, into a draft 3. Draft 4 is stressful. So I'm a little in my head about it, but I think I was just distracted and it was just a first session. So I do want to get through all of chapter 1 today. I'm 300 words into it. I do know where it's going. And the other benefit is I know these characters really well. But what's interesting about rewriting essentially the whole first act of the book is I have to reintroduce them. Like this is how they're going to be introduced to the reader. And so I have to think about like, okay, what do I want the reader to know? Because the first time I wrote these scenes, I didn't really know the characters super well. And so to go back and write their introduction, knowing who they are, it's like nice because I know them so well, like I know what they're gonna say and do. But when you're introducing a character to the reader for the first time, like I have to be mindful of like what I want the reader to know about them, you know, like how I want the journey as a reader to feel reading. But I'm also trying to like not put so much pressure on the chapter, just get it on the page so that I can fix it later. But it's not even that bad. It's just also tonally weird. We're back to my tone issues. It's actually not weird. It's just like, it feels weird. I don't know. Okay, just did a 25-minute sprint. My camera battery's dying. Got about, I think, 500 words-ish. I'm liking it. In the back of my mind, I'm just like, it's the first chapter, Alyssa. This is what agents are gonna read. Make it good, make it slay. And it is good and slay, but I need to let go of that. So I'm kind to trying to establish this tone of like crime, like like ooh, you know, fun and like little heartwarming, you know, that's what I'm always going for. None of that was a sentence. I also spent some time during that sprint kind of thinking about, it's like I want my chapters to be a little bit shorter, and that might mean like not alternating perfectly between POVs. And so I was just kind of thinking a little bit about like where this chapter's gonna end. I'm feeling very intimidated by the writing right now. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like typing again. But that sprint actually went really well. But what I'm doing is I'm doing a 25-minute sprint that I just did. But I have other things I want to do today, so I'm gonna go on a walk now. And then I'll probably do a 25-minute sprint. I have a video that I want to record before the sun sets because I want the natural light. So I'm going to do that and then do it. Like, I'm not going to do a big like 90-minute session of writing where I do like 3 25-minute sprints in a row. I'm just going to do like a 25-minute sprint in between other things, because when I'm struggling to like focus in, or when the idea of writing seems really hard, like a 25-minute sprint, I could pretty much sit down at any point in time and do a 25-minute sprint without it feeling super intimidating. Most of the time. Sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes I need to do a 15. But especially when I'm like actually typing again, which is humbling. Okay, yes, we're in goblin mode. Yes, we're getting all these chapters done, but also it's the Christmas time. We got a vibe. My camera battery said it's been dead for like 20 minutes and it's still going. But the other thing I wanted to say was last night, Friday night, let me say it one more time. I ended up watching like a lot of Chicago PD. I had not watched a new cop show in a long time. And usually what I do when I watch cop shows is I look up all of the episodes where someone gets kidnapped. Listen, because I like to watch shows that way, because you just get like the emotional character. Like, that's how I would describe the conflict of the gas station. Because she's a cop, whatever. It's not a cop book though. It's not like her investigating this crime. I guess she sort of is, but it's not really about that. It's not like a regular episode of a cop show. It's like the episode of the show, like a season finale or like a midpoint, like an episode where somebody gets kidnapped, or it like really follows their personal life. Like, that's the kind of conflict this is, not like a regular like, a John Doe was murdered on the side of the road, what's happening? Like, it's not that kind of book, but it does kind of feel like episodes of like Castle, or now Chicago PD, which I watched a lot of yesterday. Somebody's personal life is involved, the drama, the reunions, the emotion, and there were a lot of episodes like that in Chicago PD. Some cop shows like don't have a lot of episodes like that, which is fine. Like NCIS, like they never put anybody in danger. Like, get somebody kidnapped once in a while. There's like one episode where somebody actually gets kidnapped for real. Sometimes in the last 15 minutes, they're like, oh no, I'm being held hostage. Like, get 15 minutes. Like, give me an episode where they have like a nightmare about their mother. Like, I need that. Like, Criminal Minds has a lot of those. And so does Castle. Chicago PD had so many good kidnappings, you guys. Like, I was seated, locked, and loaded. There's a whole Wikipedia, like, I think it's called like Wumpapedia, which is so ridiculous, but it tracks every character, like what episodes they get injured / are in danger in, and it like lists it by episode. And I've never been more grateful for a website. Hello, good morning. It's Sunday. I'm still in chapter 1 because the video I ended up filming yesterday just took a lot longer to edit. It's the Reddit one, and I filmed for like 50 minutes. And so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna edit this before I write. It's really okay. I'm really trying to stop making excuses when I don't write, because like, I don't have to write. It's okay. It's okay. It really is. It's that never-ending balance of I want to hit my goals, but I also don't want to like be a dictator of my life. It's Sunday. It's already 10:46, and I really planned to write like all morning. That's okay. We are where we are. I need to leave here at 11:30. My mind is like, Alyssa, that's just 45 minutes. Like, you don't have time. But 45 minutes is time. Like, that's time to do the thing, right? I'm gonna do one 25-minute sprint, which is unfortunate because in my mind I was like, I'll do 90 minutes this morning, but okay, let's do it. Hello. It's Monday morning. I'm very behind, but it's okay. It's all good. Or is it? But I'm on chapter 2. It's always like depressing at the beginning of the book because like later when I'm revising, it's like, I'm on chapter 37. I'm on chapter 15. Like it just feels so much more impressive than chapter 2. Chapter 2 is Dani's first chapter of the book, which means like this is the first time the reader is meeting her, right? That would make sense. Like we all know this. Introductions to characters, especially characters who are like the main person who you need the audience to root for, are difficult because I just need to make sure that when I'm introducing her, I'm doing it in the right way. And there's a lot to fit in. So I think I'm just like hesitating. And I'm also taking about, I thought it was like a little teeny part of a chapter, but it's actually like 2,000 words, which I think I'm gonna pare down a little bit. It's a little aggressively long. From chapter like 6, the original chapter 6, and moving it to chapter 2 because I still want this situation to happen. I'm cutting that original chapter. It's just a lot of like piecing together. And so I like pulled in the original chapter 6 into chapter 2. And then I kind of outlined around it like, okay, what's gonna happen before and after. It was difficult to actually write the scene. I just like couldn't. I mean, I could. I was just distracted, I think. So that's kind of tricky because especially openings, like it's important how you introduce the character, and like it's hard for me to see how this scene is representing her because I know the character so well, you know, at this point. But it's different than just writing her in a random scene in the random book. Like this is the first time we're meeting her, right? So maybe I just need to like let go of some of that pressure. I don't know.
Becca and I ended up doing 2 sprints.
If you were wondering, it's not going well. It's not going well. Okay, but it's fine. Actually, the writing, this is a bed frame behind me. Don't ask, okay? I got a new bed frame. It's gonna sit in my living room for the time being. The writing is going well. The timeline... I'm in chapter 2. It is Wednesday. I think I was supposed to be on chapter 5. I don't know. But there's like still a chance I could catch up. But it's also like not worth it. Like I'm really not getting super caught up in like, did I do enough on each day? The writing itself is actually going really well. I just am not putting in hours as much as I sometimes do. And I was thinking about it as like, I know that there's times where I write really quickly and that there's times that I write much slower. Or it's not even that the speed is that different, it's that like the hours, like some weeks I'm writing half an hour a day and some weeks I'm writing 5 to 7 to 10 hours a day. To remind myself like it's not every week that I'm gonna go like lock in mode, but when I am sitting down, the pages, like the words are actually really good. I'm really happy with where the first chapter's at. And the second chapter, I'm mostly done with that too. It's just a lot of rearranging. As there, like I'm pulling stuff from up to chapter 9 of the original book into these opening chapters. And so it's like bringing in a scene that was originally in chapter 6 into chapter 2. It just requires a little bit more like, okay, does the reader have enough context to know what's going on with this scene? Like, does it hit enough? Is this a good thing to put in this chapter because we don't really know her yet? Like, is this too much information? But I also just am trying to assume that my reader is a little bit smarter because I've been reading some thrillers and I just forget, like, you can just move a little bit faster. I still want to keep the balance of including things that I need to include. And in this opening, it's very fast. And I really like it, actually. I just want to make sure that you're still caring about the characters in the same way that you did. And it's hard for me to see that because I care about them. And I have the context of the whole book, right? And so, like, I'm considering it, and that's just, like, why it's taking a little bit longer. But I think it's going well. And it's not like I've been writing, like, hours and hours and only on chapter 2. Like, I've probably written a total of 45 minutes a day. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. A third of the time it's going to feel great. A third of the time it's going to be like, eh. A third of the time it's going to be horrible. I have a feeling that today might be a good word count day, or not even word count. I'm not even really looking at that at this point. like movement day because over my lunch, Taylor and Natalie are gonna be live, and then I'm live tonight, which I kind of keep forgetting about because it's gonna be so late in the evening. We're talking about 8 p.m. Yes. So that will be good. So I'll have like these 2 chunks to write today, and I might do some more sprints too. So we'll see. But that's the update. Hopefully the next time you see me, I'll be actually writing. Hello. Welcome to my very warmly lit home. 1 second. This is not the moment. This is not the moment. Give me the things I do for you people. 1 moment. I need to check my email. Why did I start this clip? So I need to finish out this video because it's Saturday and I don't have anything to post tomorrow. So I guess we should check in. I'm on chapter 4, I believe. I think in my original plan, which you saw, I think like 2 weeks ago at this point, I was supposed to be like on a read through of the whole book by now, which is just not the case, and that's okay. And I actually don't think it really hinders when I'll finish this book by. I still think there's a chance I can do it by January 1st, but like also January 1st is just like this arbitrary date. Like I can send it to people on January 20th. Like it does not really matter. I think sometimes I present this view of myself as like someone who is just like so productive and I get so much done and I follow through a lot. And I'm not just saying that, like I've heard this from people, is that the way that they view me and my content is that I'm like getting things done, right? Which is true. I do think I get things done generally, but I think what I often don't talk about is I don't think I've like ever actually hit a timeline perfectly, ever. If you go back and maybe you already, you're like, maybe like, Alyssa, we know this because we've watched you not hit things. My revision for draft 3 of this book, which I finished on like October 30th, was supposed to be done in August. It happens every time. Like everything takes about 2 months longer than I think it's going to, or 2 weeks, or like some amount of time. Because the thing with writing a book is that you can know how to write a book and still not know how to do it at all, because every book requires something different. How long it took me to do draft 3 of The Wedding Season is different than how long it takes for me to do draft 3 of this book, is different from how it took me to do draft 3 of the other 3 books that I've written. Like, I've written a lot of draft 3s in my life. None of them have been the same. None of them have taken the same amount of time. None of them have focused on the same things. And so when I make a deadline that's like, okay, I'm gonna write a chapter a day and I'm gonna do all this, it's just based on this like arbitrary, in my head, I need a goal in my head. Because I don't know what my energy is gonna be like. I don't know what plans are gonna come up. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to write that chapter 3, because chapter 3 is different than chapter 2. Like, I don't know how long that's gonna take to write a chapter a day. Sometimes it'll take a day, sometimes it'll take a week. This is one of those weeks where I really did think like, oh, I'm gonna have a lot of energy to write a chapter every day, and I'm really gonna wanna jump on sprints, and I'm really gonna want to write all the time. And it just was not that kind of a day, or what kind of a week. Part of that's based on where I am in my cycle. Part of that's with like just things that came up. Like one night this week, I just ended up going over to my parents for dinner, and then I called a friend I hadn't talked to in a long time. Who would have thought? Just a social, normal evening, you know? And the thing about having goals is I think sometimes we get so caught up on like, this has to happen at this day. And I actually do not feel stressed about that at all, because I know that I will get it done eventually. I think I used to get really stressed when I would miss deadlines, because I was in this scarcity mindset that if I can't follow this trajectory and hit this goal by this date, it's never gonna get done. And that was during a time where like I wasn't writing very consistently. And now I'm in this point where it's like, yes, I still make goals, but I know that writing is a part of my daily schedule. It's a part of my weekly life. It feels weird when I'm not writing. And that's something that has come with years of building that skill, and that habit and routine. I never feel like when I hit a deadline that it's like, oh no, I'm never gonna hit that. Because sometimes it feels like that when you miss a deadline, but it's just like, oh, it just actually it just took longer to, like, this part of the process takes longer than I anticipated that it did. And it's fine because I'm still likely working the same amount of hours and the same amount of time and when you're writing regularly like that or doing anything regularly like that, when things come up where it's like, okay, tonight, actually, I'm gonna chat with this friend instead of write, it's not the end of the world because it's like, okay, well, I'll just write it tomorrow. It's like when you go to work, if you don't finish the project that day, you know you're gonna go to work the next day. So it's not this thought of like, if I don't finish this today, I'm never gonna finish it. It's not this thing that I'm chasing, it's this thing that lives with me. That's kind of weird. I did used to feel that way about writing, is that it was this elusive thing that like I had to try to like I had to chase it down for me to do it. And now it's like, no, it's just hanging out. Like this habit of writing, this practice of writing is like something that's so regular that I don't panic when I like miss a few days of writing or don't quite hit the deadline, because a deadline is helpful to like get your butt in gear, but it's not the end all be all. Like I made that up. I didn't hit it, so what, right? This is just an encouragement because it took a long time to get to a place where I feel like this. And I've been in this space now for a couple of, honestly, the whole year, where it's like, I know I'm gonna write tomorrow. I know I'm gonna write the next week. And so missing a few days, missing a few deadlines, especially when I'm like in this state where I'm not in contracts, I'm not publishing, like I'm just writing the next book, you know? It can happen. You can get to that place where deadlines don't feel like the end of the world. It's good. I don't know. That's all I really have to say. But so I'm on chapter 4. The next writing vlog, I'm hoping we'll finish out this book, which is crazy for me to say I'm on chapter 4, then the next writing vlog I'm gonna finish the book. But the writing itself is going really well. I don't really have a ton of updates. It's just time to work, you know? Let me know how it's going for you. I will see you very soon. Drop me a Christmas tree emoji down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!